Hey everybody, this is a Lighthouse Hall of Fame film from the European server. We're in Sand River Assault Defense. And if you look at the lineup, look at platoon number 1. We have Akao in his VK 2801, one of the best 2801 drivers in Europe, and we have Sebastian Potachka in his Luchs, and probably the best Luchs driver in Europe, and they're in the same platoon. And before you start wondering about why a Tier 6 Scout's platooned up with a Tier 4 Scout, which is they made a mistake. And they got lucky and got a Tier 7 battle, so that's within the normal range of MM for both tanks. If you're from Europe, you probably already know this is like dynamic duo here. If you're from NA server or SEA server or somewhere else, these are two very good scout drivers that are platooning together just to have fun today. And they draw, of all things, one of the best scout maps and spawns in the game at the moment. So you know there's going to be a race to the middle of the map. There's 3 artillery apiece, 3 scouts apiece. Their team is centered more on TDs and heavies, which is good for defense. The enemy team has mediums and a mix of heavies and TDs, so they're good on assault. This is probably going to come down to who has the best scouts, and we already know who has the best scouts, so sit back and enjoy. By the way, this film is submitted by Sebastian Potachka. Akao has a good mission, but it wasn't Hall of Fame. Sebastian ekes in at the bottom of the list here with this one because he has to share the spotlight with Akao, but watch how this goes. Sebastian's trying to beat Akao there, and so he's attempting to fly part way, thinking he's going to go faster through the air. But Akao reaches the middle first and he has the first kill. The race is on. And actually Sebastian says, well, Akao, you can go for kills, I'm going for spots. You have that big old heavy parked right beside you, and the E25 right there beside you, and everybody's looking over at you. And they're firing that way and forcing you to back up and pull forward. So in the meantime, I've snuck into this little bush here and nobody knows I'm here, and I'm just going to sit here, quiet as a church mouse, watching tanks take damage that I am getting credit for. And finally the OI experimental dies. It was a bad experiment to bring a heavy up the ramp. Makes about as much sense as taking a heavy to the middle ridge of Prokhorovka and sitting there and trying to shoot. It's like, don't do it. All you do is get in the scout's way, and you end up making a big hulking wreck of tank when you die. So his team continues pounding on these spots. The IS is making a valiant attempt to come forward, but it's like, it's the wrong tank to do it. He's too slow to get up here in time to do anything. He's just taking a pounding as he advances. And meanwhile, in the background, you see tanks slowly disappearing into funeral pyres of smoke. Some of the saner ones backed off completely and went somewhere else. And now Sebastian has to worry about this guy. If he wraps around to the left, he could proxy spot him. Depending on where he goes, if he goes over to the right, he could just flat out see him. So he has to keep an eye on him. He's trying to call in artillery fire on the IS and take him out of the equation so he doesn't have to worry about him. So far, no response from the artillery brigade. And so he says, screw it, I'm out of here. Before I get seen, I'm leaving on my own accord. But PZ4 over there to his right lights him up. He bends around the rocks, and it's like, no, this is the wrong side of the rocks for the PZ4. I don't want him hitting me. His rounds are almost as big as my tank. I'm going to run to the north. Put these hills between us. He's still trying to fly. And now he has a pathway north into Artyland, so that's where he's off to. Meanwhile, Akao's sitting back there, still spotting. There's a Hummel. He's going to unload onto him. Get some good damage. 122's right there looking his way, and there's the other artillery. They're all three right there. 122's not paying attention. Apparently he doesn't see the Luchs right in front of him and fires at somebody farther down range. So now he's just waiting. He's reloaded and set to pop up over. Here he goes. By Artie. One to go. Here comes the KO. Here comes a E25. KO's opting out of this one. E25 says, I'm going to kill him, and and Sebastian says, oh no you aren't, Mr. E25. I shall ram him with my ramming machine, that mighty Luchs. And he gets the kill. And does take surprising little damage in return. He only took 65 hit points of damage. You don't want to do that too often with very many tanks in a Luchs, but he got away with it that time. Now it's an IS-3. I have no idea. Really don't know. Why is he here? I don't know, but he is. And they're going to tag team the hell out of him. KO shooting him from the front. Sebastian shooting him from the back. And the IS-3 is shooting nobody. He's just meandering around with his turret. This is peek-a-boom. Except there's 3 other tanks involved. There's a circle of 5 tanks around this guy blasting him. And there he goes. Mercifully disappears into a giant ball of smoke or fire, ending the fight. Sebastian ends up with 959 damage and 2 kills. He hit 38 out of 40 shots, 95% accuracy, which is pretty crazy in its own right. For Luchs, at least. Spotting damage, 3,541 with 10 spots. 30,770 credits. And the reason his was so high was because Akao was over here in the beginning, was being forced to back up and peek of you a little bit. Meanwhile, here sits Sebastian in a bush, totally unseen. And also all that damage was being credited to him, and he only had to share the damage when Akao managed to make it up to the top and add in his view range and split the difference there. So Sebastian got the lion's share of the spotting damage there. He ended up with 2,217 XP, survived the fight. Got a patrol duty and a scout medal along with a spotter and a fire for effect. So it ends up giving him a battle score of 2,277, which puts this battle in 16th place on the Luchs list. And is the first time so far in the new Hall of Fame where we've seen 2 top-level scout drivers paired up and playing together, at least that I can recall. I don't remember seeing one yet. And so you have a very straightforward fight. You're seeing 2 very good scout drivers share the same basic area, but they got caught doing different things. And Sebastian was smart enough to say, hey, everybody's focused on Akao and his little gang over there. I'm just going to sit here and be quiet, and nobody's ever going to even realize I'm the one spotting them because they think these 3 tanks over here are. And so he just sat there and watched his team decimate the spots he was getting. When the IS made it down into the gully and was in danger of proxying him or lighting him up, he moved out, ran north, found the Artie, got 2 out of the 3 Artie, and I think his own Artie took 1 out. Had to ram the one guy to get the kill from the E25. And then they went off, and as you can see, it was the 2 scouts plus 3 TDs had that IS-3 circled, and they just made waste of him in short order, ending the fight. It goes to show you that even when you have really good players together in a platoon, you can have a seriously good mission. A lot of people say, well, you split everything up and nobody can get anything really good. That's not true. Because if you work together, you can end up augmenting each other's play. Now here it's like, yeah, you would have been fighting over spots. But when it comes to dealing damage, oftentimes 2 tanks working in concert will get more total damage than 2 tanks working on their own. From Sand River Assault defense. Hopefully, we'll see some more of them platoon together because it's fun to watch. Happy hunting.